All right, shalom, shalom. I'm Rayala coming at you with another lesson straight out the Lions Den Camp of Yashala. But before I get started with this lesson, I would like to give all praises to the Heavenly Father in the name of His only begotten Son in their proper true names. We're going to start off by saying Ka Halayim La Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai Bahashim Ha Rakakudash Ma'amat. Definitely want to give double honors to the apostles of GMS and their elders. Definitely want to give double honors to my elder Ahar Wam Banyasa all the Lions Den Camp, located right here in Jacksonville, Florida. All right, shalom to the sincere men, women, and children that believe in sincerity and truth and that believe on the names of Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahweh, Shah. Shalom to the Lions Den Camp, all right, and the rest of the elect that's out there. Shalom. All right, today's lesson, I'm trying to make it quick, but it's going to be a lesson based off of the end times, man. You know, the false prophets, the plagues, you know, the beginning of sorrows, man. You know, basically, we are already been witnessing the beginning of sorrows, man, and it's just cranking up. All right, this is an article here from Mirror. It says it's written by Jack Hobbs. All right, it says U.S. airport placed on red alert after passenger is diagnosed with world's most infectious disease. All right, it says health officials have placed Chicago's O'Hare an international airport on red alert after a possible measles outbreak. The Daily Mail reported that the passenger was mainly confined to the airport's Terminal 1 area, but had already exposed hundreds to the infectious disease. All right. According to the report, the person was at the airport, the world's fourth busiest in the terms of passenger numbers, on April 22nd and April 23rd between 10 a.m. and 8 p.m. on both days. It was reported that the person, who was not named, had one prior dose of the MMR, I think that's typo, but vaccine, but they went on to develop a rash on April 25th. And tests confirmed they had contrasted measles. All right. So that's the infectious disease. All right. It says the report mentioned that since getting the results of the diagnosis, the person has been isolated at home. Days later, it was reported that another case of measles had been reported in the same Illinois county. All right, as their vaccination status is unknown, the person reportedly checked themselves into a local hospital for treatment on April 28th, and medical staff quickly isolated them. Officials have warned that anyone who may have been exposed should contact their health provider and monitor for symptoms. All right, it says other than the airport, other locations in Chicago have seen possible exposure to the disease. These include the Chicago Public Library. All right, of course, it says the definitively delicious health food restaurants in Chicago, the Aldi in Lyons, all right, a Shell gas station in Stinkney, and a mobile gas station in, all right, that's neither here nor there. All right, it says according to the outlet, the infected person visited these locations between April 21st and 28th. The news of the red alert comes as experts warn that the U.S. was at a tipping point as cases of the deadly virus surge across the country. All right, so researchers from Stanford Medicine predicted the disease was set to become endemic again, and amid the counting drop in immunizations. All right, remarking that the country was already on the. So it's like I was trying to make sure he wasn't doing no crazy jump, man. All right. Yeah, it says the country was already on the precipice of disaster. Precipice of disaster. So like the research published in the prestigious medical journal JAMA, all right, predicts that the disease could reach up to 1.3 million. Yeah, damn, what did that? It's like, yeah, 1.3 million cases unless current vaccinations trends are reserved over the next 25 years. All right, the outbreak has reached 800 people with cases confirmed in 29 states. All right, states with high vaccination rates, such as Massachusetts, have low risk, whereas Texas, where blase. All right, it says where most of the current cases are concentrated, has low vaccination rates and high risk. All right, however, All right. However, even some states with high vaccination rates could see an explosion in cases because people are moving around the country. The study's authors acknowledge, quote, our model assumed there was no spillover of infections across state lines, so the numbers could be an understatement, right? So this is the Lord Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua visiting the earth that he created, man. So like, yeah. All right, we're going to jump right into it, man. This is 2nd Esdras 16:18. The Lord said in these times he's going to start bringing the plagues, man. He's going to begin to visit the earth that he created, man, and start casting judgments out, man. The famine, the plagues, the pestilence. Start putting that hurt on the people, man. For the wickedness. The 2nd Esdras 16:18, and it reads, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings. All right, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear, right, as they are now. Let's jump up one verse. Verse 17, woe is me, woe is me. See, even Esdras, knew that he was going to be back here on the earth, right, to receive his reward. It says, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows. See, so Esdras even knows, he knows the prophecy, and in those days he knows it's gonna be horrible out here, man. We're going after coming from a pandemic, plague after plague after plague, man. Different, you see how the C-19 was mutating, you had the bird flu hitting hard, you had, now you got the measles going. I mean, so many different diseases and plagues, man. Pestilence that's coming upon the earth, man, that the Lord is bringing out. Putting that hurt on the peoples, man. It says the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine, right? Going into, you see, how everybody was spending money, everybody was living good the last couple of years. Now due to the tariffs that Trump has going on, they're predicting that the shelves are going to be empty by summer. In some places you can kind of already see it, right? You can also pull up the information online where you can go check the ports. And if you see the ports in California, man, they pretty much empty. All the ships are over there in China right now. They're filled over there in China. But that's the that famine kicking in over here in Babylon, man. It says the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, as we see, right? These proxy wars, World War III in the midst, right? As Trump has basically announced that World War III is about to kick off, basically. I'm going to do that lesson another day. It says, and the powers shall stand in fear, right? See, all the powers in fear right now. They fear of nuclear destruction, going against each other. It's a lot of people a lot of countries out there are in fear of World War III, because they know that's the end of their of this kingdom that's in power now, right? Where all of them will be put down, right? Not just Esau, Edom. It says the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famine and plagues, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. See, these are the scourges for amendment, man. For all the wicked things that Esau, Edom, 2/3 of our people, that the people of this earth have been committed, man. Those sins touch the heavens, man. It says, but for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness. See, they continue pushing their ideals, idolatry, their fables, pushing their agenda, the New World Order, as we see this man Abdullah Hashim, coming into play. Well, he's been in play, really, but, now he's coming out saying he's everybody's Messiah. He's the Islam, he's the Jews, he's the Christians, he's the Catholics, he's all of their messiahs. All right, just the false prophets, man. It says, we've been doing lessons and rebuking him and debunking all everything he's been coming out saying, man. I just did a lesson on, I'm gonna drop that later, but I just did a lesson on, him saying that Satan was the one who created the earth, man. When we know Yahweh created, the Allahayim, verse 1, Genesis 1:1, right? And who was the world created by and for? It was created by Yahweh and for Yahweh. All right, but anyway, back to the point. Right, it says, behold, famine and plagues, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendments, man. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges, right? So not even paying attention to what the Lord says he's going to do to them, they continue in that wickedness, man. They're doing the work on the left-hand side. All right, verse 20, but for all, verse 21. Yeah, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Sword, famine, and great confusion. As we were just going over the confusion, the famine, right? That sword going into World War III, right? These are the evils, man, right? And that great confusion, right? Great confusion, man. That this people like this, right? It's going around, spreading BS doctrine, man. Trying to bring all religions under one house. That New World Order, man. This man was planted, man. Look at this. Like, come on, man. You supposed to be the Messiah? Like, come on, bro. All right, man. Back to it, man. But again, like, look at this shit. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. All right, so but these are the evils, man. That's that great confusion, man. Where is he located? In Nevada. As my elder was going, he did a lesson on that. Right here in Babylon, man. In the place of confusion. Ain't that crazy? Verse 22, for many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine, and of the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy them. ICBMs, man. Right, so anybody that escape the plagues, and the famine, the diseases, the hunger, martial law. If you escape these things, right, the ICBM gonna catch you. All right, from here let's go to I'm gonna go to Revelation 18. Yeah. All right, it says, verse 4, Revelation 18:4. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues, man. All right, so this is why we do the videos, man, to warn our people. Hey, man, get away from these false prophets, man. Come back to the sheepfold of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Turn and repent. Turn back to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Worship him in sincerity and the truth for these Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. And the speckled bird that may look like other nations but bear the same spirit, man. And through the bloodline of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, man. We do these videos to warn them, man. Come out of her, my people, man. Right? Don't follow people like Abdullah Hashim, the so-called Messiah for all religions, right? Come out of that wickedness, that you're in, so you won't get caught up in the plagues as well, like measles, like the C-19, or the bird flu, these measles, Come out of her, my people, man. Come out of those false doctrines. Come out of those false, beliefs and those false doctrines, man. Come out of those fables. Don't run down to Egypt for help. Like they did, in the past, man. Turn to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, because that's the only one that can save you through this and guide you through all of this, man. Right, and deliver you in that day. Right. These men and these people with they so-called jump shots, that scene, that shit is not saving people, man. That's actually killing people, and long term killing people, or short term. Yeah, a lot of them was short term, but you got to have the mindset that the Lord is gonna show up with healing in His wings, man. He has you covered, right? It says, verse 5: for her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh have remembered her iniquities, man. Right. So all the abominations that this place has committed, man, all the blood has been spilled on these lands, man. All of this, the Lord has remembered, man. Yahweh has remembered that her iniquities, man, of this whore called Babylon, man, and that's ran by these Edomites, man. Idumeans, It says, verse 6, reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. See, double unto her according to her works. Just like when she dropped the bomb on Hiroshima and Nagasaki, big boy, little man, and big, what is it called? Little fat boy, little man. Now that same plague is gonna come upon her, right? Just like she went spreading those diseases, right, to these other countries, like our people that's over there in Nigeria, spreading diseases when they came over here to the Americas, right, to the 10 tribes. All of these plagues are being brought right back upon their own head, man. And double. But mainly it's gonna be those ICBMs that double destruction. 200 million warheads. All right, it says, in the cup which she hath filled to her double. Right, how much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. Right, so much torment and sorrow give her, for she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Right. So just like how they trying to set this man up, Abdullah, right, to lead more people into their false doctrine, their false religion, right, to this new world order, right. All of these things are part of her, her glorifying herself, man. Through the military, right, through her, through their military force, through the dollar, right, and through the religion. That's what they have pushed among all these nations, man. Their religion, their way of life, right? Dealing with stuff like the alphabet community, forcing that on people, forcing the democracy on people, so on and so on. Robbing, stealing, killing of our people mainly. That's the main reason why they gonna get punished, and as well as these other nations, man. All of this stuff is gonna come upon her own head, because she saith in her heart, right, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. And that's the mindset of this place, man. That's why he fled from Mr. Abdullah fled over here, right, to seek peace, because he has the same agenda that they have. Like I believe personally he was set up by them, right? But they have that mindset that nobody's gonna take her down. That she's gonna live in that glorified state forever. That this place America will always be on top, right? Verse 8, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine. See, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire with those ICBMs, World War III. For strong is the Lord, right, God, who judges her, right, Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. All right, let's go to all right, Matthew 24, and let's jump down to right. So remember, prophecies, are twofold, man. They'll happen and then they'll happen again as well. All right. Matthew 24:4. And Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you. And that's the mindset you gotta have, man. You can't let people like Abdullah, lead you down the path of destruction, man. Right. It says, verse 5, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Hamashiach, meaning I am the anointed one, right? And shall deceive many, right? Just like this man, right? It says, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet, right? See, the end is not yet, but all these things must come to pass. All these beginning of sorrows, famine, pestilence, these false prophets and teachers, man, the beginning of wars that we see over there in the Middle East, that's leading up to World War III, these proxies, right? Verse 7, for nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. That's what we're seeing in the Middle East. The Lord is gathering everybody to the valley of Jehoshaphat to bring forth Armageddon, right? The day of judgment. Right? It says, and there shall be famines and pestilence. See, there should be famines, right? Those empty shells, and pestilence, going into those viruses and diseases, and earthquakes, as we have been doing videos on those in diverse places, right? We've been seeing earthquakes go crazy lately, man, in the last few years, right? Verse 8, all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up, all right? So we're going to drop down a little bit just to kind of get to the point. I'm going to jump down to verse 11. And many false prophets shall rise and shall deceive many, and because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. That's what we're seeing now. right? We've been seeing this, man. The love of many waxing cold, right? And these false prophets deceiving many, right? Many antichrist, man. That's what that's going into. Verse 13, but he that shall endure until the end, right? The elect, the same shall be saved, right? And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached unto all the world for a witness unto all the nations, and then shall the end come, which that has happened, right? This gospel has been spread to all nations, right? Verse 15, when ye therefore shall see the abominations of desolation spoken of by Daniel the prophet stand in the holy place. Who readeth, let him understand. Then let them which be in Judea flee in the mountains. See, just like when that happened during the time of when the temple was falling, right? Let him which is on the housetop. Let's get down to the point. In verse 19. All right, Matthew 24:19. And woe unto them that are, verse 21. Salaki. It says, for then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world to this time, nor ever shall be. Right, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened, man. So all of this is for the elect, right? The Lord's shortening up the days to so that way none of us will fall short. We'll be able to make it through, right? Enduring it to the end. But the days are being shortened for us, man. That's why we pray for the prophecies to come on past. Let this Jacob's trouble come on through. We get through this thing and be in the kingdom. Verse 23. Then if any man shall say unto you, lo, here is the anointed Hamashiach, or there, believe it not, right? For there shall arise false Christs, right, anointed ones, and false prophets, right, and shall show great signs and wonders, in so much that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect, right? And see, if it were possible, which is not, right? We see people like Abdullah, right, Hashem, and we know he's a false prophet, regardless of all these miracles that they claim he has done. Miracles like him making the moon disappear. It's crazy, making miracles like he rose the dead. The man say he rose the dead he rose his wife from the dead. It says, behold, I have told you before, right? So in other words, just because they claim to do these miracles don't mean shit. As my elder was speaking on, even Satan cast out, basically stronger demons can cast out the weaker demons, man. And even just like how Satan, tried to show himself as, a beautiful, dang, I forgot, I'm about to botch up the scripture, Salaki, but just how Satan basically tried to show himself as beautiful and as a beautiful angel, right? And his ministers followed him, right? You look at people today, they these wicked false prophets, everything looks glittery and pure, right? You on the outside, these white sepulchres, right? But on the inside, it's all wickedness, man. It's death, Roughly paraphrased for two different scriptures, but I'm just saying, at the end of the day, that's what we're seeing, man. Behold, I have told you before. Wherefore, if they shall say unto you, behold, he is in the desert, go not forth. Behold, he is in the secret chambers, believe it not. Right, just as my elder was going into, and the Nevada is pretty much a complete desert. And everybody's running to Nevada to go see this man, and learn from his teachings when he's reading from all books, trying to bring everybody under one world religion, man, new world order. For as the light, that's pretty much the point there. That's all I wanted to get to, basically. All right. But yeah, I just wanted to go into, the pestilence, man, the famine, these false prophets, all these things that we're seeing, man. It's almost like we're right there. We are right there before we, Yahweh. We're gonna see Yahweh shot very, very soon, man. We're gonna be delivered very, very soon. Yahweh Desire. We're part of that number in the Lions Den camp, man. And any believer of this truth, and that believe in sincerity. We gotta continue to have that faith, man. We seeing everything coming fast. False prophet, Yahweh being Yahweh. I mean, there's so many different false prophets that claim to be the Messiah, man. All of them have been moved out the way, right? We've seen the earthquakes in diverse places. We're seeing the wars, rumors of wars, right? We're seeing kingdom against kingdom. We're seeing all the famine and plagues and pestilence and We're seeing all of it, man. The Lord is showing us the signs of his return. But you have to have the eye salve, to be able to see it, man. This is Psalms 91:1, and it reads, "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty," man. See? You got to dwell in the secret place. What's the secret place? Yahweh Shai is that secret place, man. He has the covering. He has the healing in his wings, man. He gave, he was the one to be able to allow us to be able to receive the comforter, man. He is the light. He is the way. He is the door, It says, verse 2, "I will say, and no man can go to the Father but through who? Yahweh Shai, man, And the only way we can get through the Yahweh Shai is through the doctrine, the faith and your works. Verse 2, "I will say of the Lord, Yahweh, he is my refuge and my fortress, my power. In him will I trust. Surely he shall deliver thee from the snare of the fowler and from the noisome pestilence. He shall cover thee with his feathers, and under his wings shalt thou trust," man. See, and that's going into Yahweh Shai, man. So like, under his wings shalt thou trust. His truth shall be thy shield and buckler. Thou shalt not be afraid for the terror by night, nor for the arrows that fly by day, man. So when those World War III kick off, we gonna be looking up for deliverance, man. Listening out for those words, "Come up hither," All right, so verse 6, "Nor for the pestilence that walketh in darkness, nor for the destruction that wasteth at noonday. 1,000 shall fall at thy side, and 10,000 at thy right hand, but it shall not come nigh to thee. Only with thy eyes shalt thou behold and see the reward of the wicked." Right, man, because we're going to be up in those chariots on the top of the firmament watching this place get destroyed, man. Y'all rock the zone part of that number, but you got to have the faith, man. You got to do the works. Walk through the straights, man. Keep on that straight and narrow path. Don't veer to the left or the right. Continue doing the work, follow laws, statutes, commandments to the best of your ability, and have that faith and love and in Yahweh Shai, man. And he's gonna lead you to the Most High, Yahweh. All right, but he's the only way, not Abdullah, right? And again, we're seeing the plagues, man. Things like these measles. So be prepared for a measles outbreak. Basically, that's another point of this lesson, man. All right, verse 9. "Because thou hast made the Lord Yahweh, which is my refuge, even the Most High, thy habitation, there shall no evil befall thee, neither shall any plague come nigh thy dwelling, for he shall give his angels charge over thee to keep thee in all thy ways," man. So understand, man, as long as you part of the elect and the Lord gonna keep you, in the straights, man. He gonna guide you. He gonna keep you covered. From the plagues, all of it, man. From the destruction, World War III, nuclear destruction. But you gotta continue to have that faith in Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. So I'm gonna go ahead and end it there. But again, man, just be prepared for a measles outbreak. This was in Chicago. Pay attention to the false prophets that we're seeing coming up. These many antichrist. All right, or anti-Hamashiach, the ones that don't believe in our Lord, All right, so Lord, willing this lesson edifying to who it need to be edifying to. Shalom to the Lions Den camp and the rest of the elect. All right, Shalom DTA.